Time now for the Educated Retirement Show with your host, Jay Kaplan. Jay discusses reverse mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now here's Jay.
All right, here is Jay, and these are my opinions expressed. And you're going to hear them expressed by someone with a dunce cap, because good afternoon. Today is National Dunce Day, as you all know. And we'll get into more of that later. But how do you like my dunce cap, huh? Pretty good, huh? It's also made out of foil, so it also gives me protection from aliens and UFOs. So welcome to the Educated Retirement here on KMET 1490 AM, where we contemplate retirement and how to best prepare and stay happily retired. And looks like my brains are coming out from underneath there. I better protect those again. So today we're going to have Kirk from Financial Insights. He's going to be giving us insights. Boy, I need to get that out. Oh, there we go. Man, that brain of mine is so big, it just keeps popping up. Okay, and Kirk will be with us. You know how that goes with our special guests. We put them on the last half of the show, maybe a little before, so that there are no breaks once somebody without a dunce cap gets to talk. So today we're going to discuss why wearing a dunce cap will make you hear Patti Page singing Tennessee Waltz while sipping a cappuccino, and explore further how a stomach ache continues to create great literature. So hang on, because today is National Cappuccino Day. So call me. I'll take my dunce cap off. Call me. Okay? Number is right there. 866-955-2233, and I won't answer because I'm here on the radio. Now, if in fact, on the other hand, you want to call me any other time, that's fine. Also, the station is ready to take your phone number, and it'll be on the screen here, and I'll repeat it in a minute, and you can talk to us directly. So, theeducatedretirement.com, or if you want to be a little shorter, drheckham.com. That's DRHECM. About halfway down, you can click on the button for the YouTube channel where you can subscribe, but you can see all these shows, the whole show, the part of the show where I'm just screwing around and talking about, UFOs and things, and then the other part of the show, which is usually something, hopefully, very educational about real estate and loans, etc. So call me, ask me for a free look at your situation. If I can't help you, somebody else can. I've got a network of people who are always ready to help. Okay, do I have a day job, you hope? Yes, I do. At the Loan Source, my NMLS number is 384465, and Department of Real Estate, which said I haven't sold a property, I think, since 1978, but still, 792-630, and, we want to talk. So, remember, keep you and your families active, not reactive. And today is National Dunce Day. Now, I know we always think of put your dunce cap on and sit in a corner for somebody who's done something naughty, or you really want to pretend that they're not real intelligent. Well, that's not exactly how this was supposed to work. Okay? The idea was created by a guy named Dunce Scotus. No, that's nothing to do with the Supreme Court, but Dunce, D-U-N-S, Scotus of Scotland, who is described as a mid-level scholar. I've never heard of anybody as a mid-level scholar. I guess all of us, we're going to consider ourselves mid-level scholars. But he believed that knowledge would flow from the heavens through the point in the cap down to the head of the person wearing it, like yours truly right here. making that person smarter, and God knows, and you do too, this person needs to be smarter. Therefore, when you take the cap off, you're smarter than before. So I guess it all kind of makes sense, but, in bits and not exactly the way we take it. So if you are looking to become smarter, you wear a dunce cap. When you take the dunce cap off, you are smarter, and then you may want to get smarter the next day and get yourself another dunce cap. So, at least we're thinking, right? Thinking differently than it was supposed to be, but at least we're thinking. So all I can say before taking a short break here is good thing I can't fit in corners. So we'll give it back to Sean, and we'll take another quick shot at a few things, and we'll have a lot more time for our guest. Oh. Good music there. I had my stethoscope on backwards, so I couldn't hear my heart beating, but I'm ready to give you that prescription for knowledge about a reverse mortgage. Now, welcome back to the Educated Retirement Radio here on your home planet, KMET, 1490 AM radio, and what a lot of people still call the Mighty Met. I guess they do, huh, Sean? The Mighty Met?
Not too often.
Like I said, not very many people say it that way anymore, but it is known that way somewhere out there. So remember, www.drheckham.com or www.theeducatedretirementradio.com. My off-air number, 866-955-2233, 966. No, Jay. 866. Remember those kind of numbers. I'll start with 8. So 866-955-2233. A very easy number for old people like me to remember, except that I didn't. So jump on that website, drheckham.com. Join up for the YouTube channel, and you'll get a chance to watch this over and over. I know you can't get enough. We've got some famous people's birthdays today. This one's pretty strange, okay? This one's pretty cool. Vlad the Impaler. Not that he was pretty cool. He's got a pretty bad reputation. You know about him, right, Sean?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. You haven't met him, have you? No.
Not recently, no.
No, all right. So Vlad's last name was Dracul, D-R-A-C-U-L, and of course an inspiration both in name and for what he was famous for doing. That's why he's called the Impaler, for Dracula. And the rest is history. So you know about that. But here's something that's really cool. Bram Stoker was born on the exact same day today, in 1847. So Vlad and Stoker were born exactly the same day. I think that's pretty cool. I'm not sure if that's a coincidence, but that's pretty strong stuff. So he was a good friend with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Oscar Wilde, William Keats. We're not talking about Vlad, we're talking about Bram. So Bram, he wrote Dracula when he was 50 years old. It took me about 50 years to read it. Did you ever read that, Sean?
I did not, no.
It's pretty, I don't know, it's kind of weird the way it was written. I don't think I've read one like that. Look at these guys, just as a memory jogger. And then me. It's written in the first person, except there's a lot of first persons. But that's enough said for that right now. Now, it's said that the idea of Dracula actually came from a nightmare after eating a bad crab supper. So I'm going to have some crab tonight, and maybe I can come up with some good writing. But remember, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how H.P. Lovecraft, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, horror author, that he had an experience of getting the idea for Cthulhu, the Cthulhu creature, after eating too many cupcakes. I think maybe you recall that. So I guess that leaves us with what we learned with today's Dunce Cap, and that's, all great horror authors are fat, or they just have a lot of stomach aches, which lead us to believe stomach aches and great literature go together. So there you go. So I showed you a couple of Dracula movies, and this is one thing I really didn't know, is that Dracula is the number one portrayed character in all the history of movies. So the first one was in 1920, called Dracula. Gee, second one, Hungary, 1921, Dracula's Death. And of course, there's Nosferatu, which I think I showed you just a minute ago. And that led to something we talked about on the show a few weeks, whatever. And oh, look at that on YouTube. That is so cool what just happened, but that's all right. This movie, Shadow of the Vampire. And we talked about that author last week. I don't know why. When I was going through, I picked up some of these too. Why? Can't tell you. What is that? Bride of Frankenstein, because, there's a lot of Bride of in this app. This is probably the best of all of those Universal horror films, Bride of Frankenstein. And from what I understand, it was the very first movie with a real soundtrack written for it, rather than just borrowed money. So there. And I just looked at that too and reminded myself I should watch it, so I pulled it out again. So, we have Son of Dracula, Daughter of Dracula, House of Dracula, and the entire Hammer films where Christopher Lee, most of the time, I think all but one, played Dracula to Peter Cushing's Van Helsing. And as you recall last week, we talked about Edward Van Sloan, who played Van Helsing on Broadway and in the Bela Lugosi film, and all the other things that he has done. Also, besides Dracula on this day, is somebody else who used her throat and teeth and all that, and that would be Patti Page. Patti Page popped out in 1927 and earned her wings in 2013. So she used to be known as the Singing Rage. And I've got records, but, it's so hard to find them. I got too many of them. She was one of 11 children born in Oklahoma, and I think I've mentioned that I am the youngest in a family of one. So that's it. But, just like Dracula, she's got more in common with Dracula than you think. Just like Dracula is the number one portrayed animal, person on filmdom. Tennessee Waltz was the biggest selling single in the 20th century. And I was going to cut out some time to sing, but I don't think I'll be running out of time, so I'll just go on. And of course, you remember How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? And don't forget Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlotte. So for some reason, it just brought back memories of Shirley Bassey and the 007 films. But I'm going to have to look into that again, and I'm going to do that here on a break. So I'll see you back in just a minute or two. Well, can we just spend the next 4 or 5 minutes just listening to the music? No? Anyway, do you know today in 1910 was the first patent for electric insect destroyer? Is that important or what? Here's what's important about it. Zapped and zapper, those words you use all the time, that's where it came from. And I'm just going to go over Mutiny on the Bounty real quick here while we're talking about movies, and then we'll get on with our main show. 1935, Mutiny on the Bounty was released with Charles Laughton, which won Best Oscar. Charles Laughton, I don't know if you know, but he actually directed one and only one movie, which I think is the best horror movie, one of the best horror movies ever made, even though it's not considered a horror movie, but it is Night of the Hunter with Robert Mitchum. And you know, I couldn't find that record with Robert Mitchum playing Calypso yet, but maybe we'll get it on YouTube and Sean will play some of it for us. There was a remake of Mutiny on the Bounty in 1962 with Marlon. Come on, Jay, Marlon Brando. I'm thinking of Fish again. Now, Carol Reed started to direct that film and quit due to Marlon trying to take over the directing duties and going way over budget. Gee, what a surprise. So, I don't know. Do you know of Carol Reed? No?
I do not.
Yeah. Carol Reed did one of my favorite all-time film noir things, The Third Man, which is considered maybe the best entrance any actor ever got into a movie, which was Orson Welles. And you remember Orson Welles? We had lunch with him a couple of weeks ago at Musso and Frank's to talk about reverse mortgages. It was a good meal and a good conversation. Carol Reed also did Old Man Out, and Oliver with his own nephew, Oliver Reed. And Rod Moody played the role of the old guy that was done so magnificently years earlier by Alec Guinness, who was just a kid when he did it. He ain't no Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is what he really was. So we got a couple more minutes. I'll let you know about All the King's Men, released in 1949 on this day. Also filmed in Stockton, just like Cool Hand Luke was. Won the Oscar for the best movie and the best actor for Broderick Crawford, and best supporting actress for Mercedes McCambridge. Sean, do you know what she had claimed to fame, Mercedes?
No, I sure don't.
She was the voice of the demon in The Exorcist.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, they're talking big time now. So originally John Wayne was supposed to take that part, but he got very upset over the subject matter, thinking it was playing down the American government, and wrote a letter saying to put the script up the director, Robert Rosen's rear end. That same year, Broderick won the Academy Award against John Wayne for Sands of Iwo Jima. And speaking of Iwo Jima, don't forget Terrence Malick in The Thin Red Line, but that's another show. Also, my Uncle Harold, was there, but he was also hired as a Japanese soldier. He wasn't, but I mean, they took all of the Marines that were left over, a lot of them, dressed them up like Japanese soldiers, and they were extras in the movie, and he said that's the best food he ever had in the war. And speaking of food, I'm going to go get some, and the rest of you can too, and we'll be back with a good long conversation with Kirk about financial insights, so stay tuned. Please hang with us. Thanks. Oh, yeah. You know what? That's great music. We need to just let that play and extend the show another half hour, don't you think? So anyway, I'm back. Big deal. So this is Jay, the Educated Retirement Radio. And now is our time to put our thinking or our dunce caps back on, because we want to learn everything we can from Kirk. And we're going to have Kirk introduce himself in just a minute, but he is with Financial Insights, the Financial Freedom Formula. So I don't know formulas too well, so that's why we need that Dunce Cap back, real strong. So again, you know where to call me and all that good stuff. So let me get back here to get the man's name up. Okay, Kirk. Just so everybody knows who you are, and we've got that blackboard in green that you've got, and we can put that up from time to time. We can go over that and anything else that you like. But go ahead, Kirk, introduce everything there is about you.
Hi, Jay. Well, my name is Kirk Cannonbly. I am with Financial Insights, as Jay said. We are a financial services company. We're in kind of a different niche than what most people are used to. Whereas, Jay's a highly regarded specialist in reverse mortgages and other areas.
Well, thank you. I didn't have to pay you too much for that, did I?
We'll negotiate later.
Okay,
and,
thank you. But
we're
very well appreciated.
You got it. So where we fit in is we specialize in homeowners that have 4 or more debts. We put together a plan to pay everything, including the mortgage, off in half the time. We execute the plan for the clients. Basically, we give you a plan and we do all the work to make it happen. And, the reason we do that is because there are so many different pieces to everybody's finances. I mean, a lot of people, when they're thinking about retirement, they're really just kind of focused on how much am I saving in my 401k plan.
Right, but without much plan to go with it, by the way.
Well, yeah, most people, almost no one really sits down with a professional to figure out how much money they should take out of their check for their 401k plan. They just say, well, how much can I afford to take out of it every week that's not going to, ding into my budget too much.
Right.
So they never end up putting enough money aside. And then, not sitting down with a professional. And, as we've talked about before, everybody should have a list of several. They've got their reverse mortgage specialist, their forward mortgage specialist, their realtor, their insurance agent, their CPA or tax guy. I mean, the thing is, all of those professionals have so much to bring to the table, but most people are just really focused on their 401k plan.
Yeah, I think and I may have mentioned this before, I was on Ron Siegel's show yesterday, ESPN, and he has this thing about a household board of directors. And you just gave the titles for that household board of directors.
Yeah, they're all important. They're all professionals in their field. They know what's been, they know recent changes. They know the current strategies. They know the things that, most homeowners don't really think about or know about until they sit down with someone. I listened to one of your shows not too long ago where a gentleman on with you.
Okay, go ahead.
The gentleman with you was, you guys were talking about a book he had written, and he mentioned how, the reverse mortgage could help somebody out who's almost being forced to start drawing on their Social Security too early because of maybe job loss or illness or something like that.
I had a couple of good people, Don Graves and Phil Walker, both got into that.
Yeah, and I think it was Don I was watching you talk to. And, he brought up this point about how, someone was going to have to take early Social Security, which could cost them up to 1/3 of their Social Security income for life. And instead, they were able to leverage a reverse mortgage to cover the income gap that they needed until they got to the age where they could draw full Social Security. So that's not something that your average homeowner's probably ever heard of or thought about.
They should.
But exactly, they should, because they're going to get to a point where there's going to be a lot of things to take advantage. I saw a good article the other day on where do you want to age and live in retirement? Do you want to grow old in your own home? Are you going to live with a family member? Are you looking at a long-term care facility? Long-term care facilities can cost up to $80,000 a year or more. How are you going to pay for that?
More. I know. And if you sell your home just to pay for that, you're probably going to run out of money in 3-4 years.
Right. But some people can afford long-term care insurance and some people cannot. So this is another reason why people need to sit down with the different members of their board to look at their situation and see who's got what solutions.
The other thing for that is when you are young, you don't care that much about long-term health care.
Or a lot of other things that are involved.
Yeah, it's just not ringing a loud bell. It's not knocking real hard on the door. When it does, it's already too late to go shop for it because you're not going to get it.
Right. See, and that's something that we've seen over the years too. Most of the people that we work with, they're homeowners that are in their 40s, 50s, and early 60s, mostly 40s and 50s. And what we found over time is it's really, when you sit down with someone in their 30s, the problem is, your brain is kind of still geared towards needs and wants and short-term goals at that age. You really don't start getting security focused until you're in your
how
upper
come?
40s.
See, my
and 50s.
problem is that's where my brain is. I look in the mirror and see a 24-year-old, and then I want to know where can I go now to buy some more cigars and records. So that was my problem. You weren't around then.
No, although I'll tell you what, I do remember the Mighty Met. That used to be KMET
all
when it
right.
was on FM radio playing rock and roll about a gazillion years ago.
Well, now we're bigger than that. We're worldwide.
That's right. They used to just be LA based.
So, yeah. Well, if you have a computer in LA or Hong Kong or Paris, you're there.
Yeah, that's right. I love this whole thing where I can download your shows.
Yeah, and I can send them out to harass you, too.
That's right.
But
So
go ahead, please.
that
take it.
age thing you were talking about, this is something that people really should pay more attention to, because when you're really young, retirement's so far away, you don't really focus on it or really put much stock in the need to save because you think you've got all the time in the world. And the problem is it takes a lot of time to save money and let it grow, especially in low interest rate environments like we have today.
Well, let me tell you about time. I don't know too much about the nature of time. I think about it a lot. You should watch Dark on Netflix. Anyway,
It's in my saved list.
it goes by so fast. You mean you're just a kid, but you turn around, you're going to be as old as I am, and it's always like that. It's unbelievable. So you got to start now.
Time's not always your friend, especially when it comes to finances.
No.
But that's another reason to encourage everyone to get with the different people on their local board of directors there, because there's there are so many different ways to help prepare for retirement. What we specialize in is the last thing you want to do is go into retirement with a mortgage and a bunch of other debts. So our goal is to get clients out of debt in about half the time that it's normally going to take them. We've been doing this for about 20 years. It's great. People love it. But the thing is, it's really important, because when we've talked before, and I've asked a few questions about this, when you get to 62,
I wish.
There's a big difference between being able to qualify for and leverage a reverse mortgage with your home equity, as opposed to going at 62, still having half your mortgage to pay off, as well as a couple car loans, a bunch of credit cards, things like that. And those are places where we see people out a lot.
Now, that's good for them that they did a reverse, but you just mentioned how much better it would be if more equity were available to put into the reverse mortgage, because a reverse mortgage does not mean that's the amount you borrowed. It means that amount goes into a line of credit that's going to grow forever and protect you in the future. Huge return.
Right. And if you're able to, at 62, not have a forward mortgage anymore, not have credit card bills, not have auto loans, not have any monthly debt, you could really set yourself up well for the future, because like you said, you don't have to draw it in the beginning, but you gain access to this and then let what you can tap into grow. There's a lot of different ways to help prepare yourself for retirement, and nobody should just stick with one. You need to get out of debt. You should be able to qualify for the reverse, so that when you need it, it's there, because as you grow older in retirement, you could have 20 or 30 years of life to pay for. And, most couples end up with $100,000 to $200,000 worth of uncovered medical costs.
As far as I know, I believe that the reverse mortgage must be paid off when you reach 150. So keep that in mind.
Well, we're heading that way.
I'm sure, Congress will have to do something before that, because the largest single group of growth in this country are the 100-year-olds, followed by the 85-year-olds. So
Yeah, and they're all depending on Social Security, which was designed for people that were going to reach up into their 60s, and they were expecting them to pass away at that point in time. So the government wasn't really planning on funding them for a long time. You know, Social Security is basically just a big annuity. You feed money into it throughout your life, and then you're supposed to be able to draw on it throughout retirement. But they didn't plan on us living till 80s, 90s, 100. My grandmother was 101 when she passed away.
Wow.
So, you know, there's a lot to prepare for, and people don't take it seriously until it's kind of too late to put away enough. So the younger you look at this, the better. And the older you are, the faster you need to get with your professionals on this and look at what you can do.
Absolutely. And remember, put out that list again. I know it's on the screen, but, you know, that list of what I call household board of directors. I mean, it needs to be, you know, a list of phone numbers, just like the emergency list, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, stuck on your refrigerator.
If there's room. My refrigerator may not have any room for anything more. Is yours like that?
Yeah, I got a daughter, and she's in college now, but we've been stacking the fridge door up for years.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's metal, so things stick on it, and that's, so be it. But, you know, we want more to stick on us, too, not just the refrigerator. We need more to be for us. So, how is it? Well, what I'm trying to say is, how do people get a hold of you? Boy, that wasn't too bad once I got it out.
Yeah. What we do for people is we'll create a free analysis for them so that they can see where they're at today and how fast they could have everything paid off. Because, you know, if you could, let's say you could pay off your mortgage and your other debts, and maybe you're on track with, you've got 25 years left on your mortgage. But what if you could do all of that, pay everything off, including that mortgage, in 8 to 10 or 12 years? You know, think about the options that you would have and the opportunities going forward after everything else had been paid off. And now you got a couple of grand, $3,000, maybe 5 or 6 in California, where, you know, that can go towards different vehicles to safeguard your future. Plus, you know what? You have less stress and enjoy yourself more today. That's right.
Yeah. So if you're in your mid 40s to 50 and you just got a home with a 30-year loan, seeing you could help put them in the best position for a reverse when they hit 60 or 62 with little or no balance left.
True. And just, you know, and by getting someone out of debt in about a half the time as it would normally take, you know, like I said, 8, 10, 12 years, most of these clients can see a savings of 80 to 100 to even 150,000 in interest on all of those debts, because we pay everything off in, like I said, we're going to pay the whole total debt off about half the time. So if anyone wants to get a free analysis, we just send them over to our website, which is fromdebttohope.com. And that way they can just take some simple payment terms, nothing that's personal, and they can plug it in, and then we'll turn around and run an analysis and get back with them and tell them, you know, what they could achieve. But
now, did you want to give a phone number or anything else too? Go ahead and do it, whatever
That's okay. You know what? The website's a great place to start, because that will lead them.
Go ahead and repeat it then.
That's at fromdebttohope.com. Fromdebttohope.com. And there we'll give you a free analysis. All you've got to do is plug in some numbers and give us a couple of days, and you'll see what you could achieve. But going back to what we were talking about, you know, I mean, you need to be able to get out of debt. You want to protect and preserve as much of your equity as possible, because that reverse mortgage could be a lifesaver in retirement. Right. You need to talk to your insurance guys. You know, there are so many benefits to so many different tools that people don't understand. It's like when I mentioned to someone a whole life insurance policy, and the fact that they can withdraw their money without having to pay taxes on it now, whereas when they withdraw their 401k money, they're taxed on it right away.
Right. So, and you know what the joke is? Because when I was young, I was told, well, when you pull your money out of your retirement after you're retired, you'll be in such a lower tax bracket. You know what?
Yep.
That ain't always true, is it?
No, it's rarely true. I remember the same thing. When I got in my first 401k back in the 80s, and I told later on in life, I felt totally bamboozled. Because you're rarely going to be in that lower tax bracket. You know, I mean, people today, they don't want to pull out 20 or 30,000 a year later in retirement. They're looking for 60, 80, 100,000 a year. You know, they've got a lifestyle that they want to not just maintain, but enjoy, and they want to spend time with the family and vacation. And, you know, so you can't you're not going to be in a low tax bracket because you're going to be pulling money out, especially if
Right.
you live in California. This is not the cheapest
Right,
place
and as
to
you
live.
pull money out, not only are you paying taxes and maybe penalties, you're also reducing the amount of dollars that are actually working for you. Those dollars, they have little, picks and shovels and switches. I mean, they're all working, creating the amount that you want to be taking out. So,
Right. And all of the people on the board of directors that you have are people that are helping clients in different ways and in different areas. And there's no one single thing that's going to completely take care of your finances for retirement. It's like a puzzle. You got all kinds of different pieces and they all do something different. Like the reverse, getting out of debt, an insurance guy, you've got, good and bad annuities, you've got so many different programs out there you can take advantage of, and strategies too. When do I pull the money out that I'm going to be taxed on? When do I want to pull the money out that I'm not going to be taxed on? What do I want to do with my Social Security? There's so many different things and pieces in this moving machine that I just don't see how anyone could really make the best choices without talking to at least 3 or 4 of the people on their board of directors.
now how do we get people to actually? Because I know people. I know 2 or 3 people, including you. But I mean, other than that, people do have. Some of them do have a financial planner. Some of them do have a realtor. Some of them do have an insurance agent. Some of them do have, maybe some of them have all that are on your list.
Right.
But I doubt if those people actually know each other. And I think what you really want to try is to get people to speak together to make a team, which is actually your household board of directors. So trying to think of the best way to people can call me, they can get a hold of you, we can recommend other people, but they're the ones that have to decide who's who. And, go through a lot of talks and a lot of interviewing, because you're going to be interviewing these professionals. And you don't have to be a millionaire or anything like that to be able to have these people work on your behalf. But you need to get them, and your biggest message, one of the biggest messages, is get this team, all of them, to know you and to know each other.
Yeah, and there's kind of 2 ways to do this here. One of them is you're going to have people on your team that already know other professionals that they've worked with that do a good job, that they will refer to you.
Right.
And the other thing is to interview people. If you're looking for a financial advisor, everyone's got their own goals. They've got their own levels of tolerances, things like that, So they may want to talk to 2 or 3 different financial advisors to find the one that's best for them.
Right.
And then leverage, also leverage those referrals that your team members can make for you. Look at a CPA. Let's say you've got a CPA or an insurance agent who
CPA belongs on that list too. Sure.
That's right. Yeah, and your tax prep. Well, let's say you have a CPA or a financial advisor who has a great investment for you that is a long-term investment, and you need $250 a month to fund that. Well, they may work with a loan officer who can turn around and structure a refinance to pay off a small amount of debt to generate that cash flow. Then that way they can put that in place so that you've got the money to pay for the investment now, and they pull us in to provide a plan to pay off the new mortgage and all the remaining debt, so that not only have you got yourself into an investment, but you've also got a plan in place now to pay off your new mortgage and all the other debt. And, really, regardless, whether it's a new mortgage or your existing mortgage, if you've got 4 or more other debts, you really need to look at that, and you need a plan in place, because no one refinances with a plan. The only plan most people have when they refinance is get me a lower payment or get me some cash out, and how much am I going to get? And their focus is really on immediate needs. And then after the loan closes, they go back to their life and nothing changes. And if they did pay off a little bit of debt in the loan, their mortgage payment has gone up, but their cash flow may have improved for now.
Yeah,
but over the
because-
next year or two, that cash flow improvement is going to disappear into their spending budget because that's just the way we are.
Yes.
You need nobody saves $300 a month on their mortgage and then goes and puts it towards, investing in their retirement or paying off their debt. They go out there and they spend it.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Most of it's true, but unless you've got somebody right there, not that people need their hand held, everything, they just need
No.
knowledge. They need education.
Yes, that's education.
And then
is
it
so
becomes over and over. If you get that education, then you start to do more and more. You're not going to flip over completely. You're still going to spend a few bucks here and there when
That's
you
right.
have extra. But you have a new mindset. You have a new set of goals. You don't have to think about it each time. You just act a little bit differently.
Yeah, and when you make an improvement to your long-term finances, you also get a little bit of a relief in your financial stress. So, that kind of it makes you feel a little bit better about what you've got going on. And also, the things that you do with professionals are usually being done for you. So it's not like you've got to go do it yourself. That's exactly, that's why we took the approach we did. We don't give people a plan and then say, okay, go do this. Thanks. See you. Bye. Because people don't.
Right.
They
And
have
you
other
don't,
things
one
in front
thing
of them.
about you is you don't just purport or push yourself as someone who's going to get your payments down or to get your debt out of the way. You have a much longer plan involved. It's part of a much larger picture that's worth you being in.
Yeah, you know what? We're with clients for years. It's not like, we see them once or twice here and there. We're providing an ongoing service that's making a real difference. And, each client has got someone that is on our side of the picture that's taking care of things for them and making things happen that they can contact. So it's not like, everything's going into a computer somewhere either. We've got actual people in place here, and we create relationships with clients because, sometimes we need to help the client make a decision. Sometimes the client says, hey, look, I'm thinking of buying, I'm thinking of selling my house because I want to buy one over here and it's going to be this much more. And, and we'll ask them, look, here, we're going to run some numbers. Here's the results of that. Here's how it affects your savings and how long it's going to take you to get out of debt. And that's going to affect your retirement savings and everything else. Is this really what you want to do? So, we're kind of a backstop for them too on some of their decisions, just so that we can bring another angle to it so they can make a good educated decision. And like you said earlier, education is everything. Getting people to understand what they can do and what they can achieve. One of the most widely used sayings to our guys from clients is a client that says, I thought I'd never get out of debt. And then we've just shown them a plan that's going to take them out of debt in 8, 10, 12 years from now. They've got a brand new 30-year mortgage, 2 cars, some credit cards, some student loans, and they literally think they're going to be in debt forever. And we're showing them how to get it all paid off and go into retirement debt-free so that they've got more options and they can just build a better future.
And so many people don't know the different tricks to get college education paid for, and that's a whole nother show. We've had Chris Bissonette on the show for that before, but there's so many ways to save, and then once you've saved it, you need to know what to do with it.
Exactly, and there's a whole strategy in how you withdraw your money later and which tool or strategy you're using in which order. That's why it's so important for people to sit down with their different board members.
Absolutely. So we need to get people to get their board up and running, and not just, we compared it with a list of emergency numbers, but you don't want this. You do not want this list to be for emergencies. You want this to be for everyday, ongoing planning and education. And believe me, those people, they want to be called. They want to be brought in to help you make a decision, because that means they're in front of you more. That means it's more opportunity for them, not just for you. So, we can't just think, I'm not going to call this person or that person, unless it's a real emergency or what's it going to cost. But you find all those things out, and then you know who to call.
Yeah, the better you educate your client, the better off they're going to be later on. They're going to be able to make better decisions because they've got more information and quality information.
Now, I'm not sure how to get the only thing I can think of is to keep having you on the show every now and then and talk about this, or for me to bring it up again too. But we have to really make sure people go out and do this. It's going to take, they have to be, they have to get out and do it. They have to be not reactive and wait till there's a problem, but they have to be active. Right. Get out there. I mean, do you see any problem in calling a financial planner or say, hey, I just want to talk to you. I want to see about what we could do in the future, but just put it aside. They're not even going to charge you for that. Or for CPA, just to see if this is not during tax time though, but right. Is this the person for me? That kind of thing. I don't think those people, I think those people would welcome such phone calls.
Yes, I talk to a lot of insurance guys, and they advise people in a lot of different ways, but they're all about, I want to educate my clients. I want to educate my clients, and that's it. Anyone you call should be willing to sit down and give you at least a little bit of time so that you can determine whether or not you want to continue to talk with them.
Right. And there's different kinds of insurance. You may need one for your home and auto, like, call Flo or the little Gecko, I guess. Yep. But you're going to need another one to talk to you about whole life, to talk about annuities. Mm-hmm. You're going to need a lot of them. And even though you can sit there and say, I can't afford that stuff now, how do you know what you can and can't get into?
Exactly.
And you don't know what the future, believe me, you don't know what the future is going to bring.
Right.
And people usually say that in reference to bad news, but you know what? It's also there for good news. And you can plan your good news if you start soon enough.
Just as important as growing your wealth for retirement is protecting it. And simple things like an inexpensive term life insurance can make all the difference in the world for a family. We've all heard stories about somebody who lost a family member, a husband, the wife, and they didn't have insurance. And about the hardships that those families went through. So, there's so much cheap term insurance available out there. You're crazy not to talk to somebody about it.
Right. And, I promised I wouldn't talk too much about reverse mortgages, but that has a lot of insurance built into it. And Sean's telling us we only have one more minute. So it really went by fast, didn't it, Kirk?
Yeah, it did. It's always a lot of fun.
I think so. And it's always educational. It's always good to hear you. So please come back. But go ahead and, again, give out your contact so that people are ready, willing, and able. And if you can also call me. You know how to get a hold of me, or through the station or whatever. God knows I give my contact information a lot, but we'll get you in touch with Kirk. But go ahead one more time or two.
Sure. We make it really easy. Just go to our site at FromDebtToHope.com. There you can either contact us, you can actually plug in some numbers, we'll run a free analysis for you, but we'll help you see where you could be several years from now versus where you're on track to be right now.
Yeah, because most people don't think that far ahead. They have an imagination, but you know what? That imagination doesn't always work perfectly. So let me just say, email me too at bestloantoday@gmail.com. And our old joke, or my boss told me to have a good day, so I went home. And Sean, thank you very, very much. All the listeners, especially Kirk, thank you. And Kaplan will be here on the same corner in front of the cigar store next week.